Okay, good evening. Welcome to the April 24th meeting of the Hubbard County Planning Commission Board of Adjustment. I'll start off the meeting by reading the meeting procedure, and then we'll get on with the meetings. Okay, all persons in attendance at Planning Commission Board of Adjustment meetings are expected to comply with the following meeting procedure. Thank you in advance for helping make this a manageable meeting. Copies of agenda item materials are available for public viewing on the table located at the back of the meeting room. These materials are not to leave the table so that others in attendance may also view them. Please turn phones to vibrate or off during the meeting and conduct any sidebar conversations outside of the meeting room. Interruption or other interference with the orderly conduct of the Planning Commission Board of Adjustment meeting will not be allowed. Defamatory or abusive remarks are always out of order. Disruptive persons will be removed from the meeting. The chair may terminate a speaker's privilege of address if, after being called to order, the speaker persists in improper conduct or remarks. Written material concerning agenda items must be submitted to the Environmental Services Department by 3:30 p.m. on the Wednesday immediately prior to the meeting date. Written materials will not be accepted after this deadline or at the meeting because the Planning Commission Board of Adjustment will not have sufficient time to review them prior to the meeting. Such material must state the agenda item for which it is being submitted and the name and address of the submitting party. Planning Commission business is conducted first, followed by the Board of Adjustment business. The chair will call the meeting to order and explain the meeting procedure. The chair will read each agenda item into the record and ask the applicant to come forward to the presenter's table, state his or her their name and addresses for the record, and explain his or her or their request. The Planning Commission Board of Adjustment will then discuss the agenda item with the applicant. The chair will then ask for public comment on the agenda item. To facilitate an orderly meeting, efficient meeting, there is a 3-minute speaking time limit per speaker per agenda item unless the chair allows a speaker additional time. The chair may terminate the speaker's privilege of address if, after being called to order, the speaker persists in improper conduct or remarks. When the chair recognizes a speaker, he or she may approach the audience podium and microphone, state his or her full name and address for the record, and write such on the speaker log, and then share his or her comments. The audience podium microphone may be used by the recognized speaker because the meeting is recorded. A member of the public may not donate his or her speaking time to another speaker. A speaker should state his or her comments and address the issue, not the applicant's. All comments are to be directed toward the Planning Commission Board of Adjustment. Please do not repeat comments already made by previous speakers. The chair reserves the right to ask a group with similar comments to appoint a spokesperson. If written comments have been submitted to the Planning Commission Board of Adjustment, please do not read them aloud during the meeting, as they are already part of the record and copies thereof have been given to the Planning Commission Board of Adjustment. After everyone wanting to speak on an agenda item has done so, the chair will close the public comment on the agenda item. No further public comment will be taken after this point. The chair will give the applicant an opportunity to address issues raised during public comment. The Planning Commission Board of Adjustment will then continue its discussion on the agenda item, and the chair will entertain a motion on it. The Planning Commission Board of Adjustment may make a motion to pass, deny, or table the item. Once a motion is made and seconded, the Planning Commission Board of Adjustment will develop findings of fact for conditional use permit and variance applications, and then vote on the motion. Once a vote is taken on the agenda item, the Planning Commission Board of Adjustment will move on to the next agenda item. Meetings commence at 6 p.m. and continue until all agenda items have been heard or until 10 p.m. No new agenda items shall be considered after 9:45. The Planning Commission Board of Adjustment may, at its discretion, continue an item that is on the floor at 10 p.m. Any remaining agenda items shall be continued to another date, time, preferably the immediately following Tuesday at 6 p.m., and no further public notice will be provided for such a meeting continuation. The Planning Commission Board of Adjustment, through the chair, may modify these procedures to a meeting or agenda item. Okay, so first we're gonna move to the Planning Commission, and we have, for approval of minutes, we have no old business or new business. So I believe we can move right on to the Board of Adjustment and the approval of the minutes from the prior meeting. Does anybody have any comments about the minutes?
Mr. Chair?
Yep.
Are we approving the minutes of the Planning Commission?
We do have minutes.
Oh, we do have minutes, excuse me, I'm sorry, we'll go back to that. Then we'll do the approval of the minutes from the prior meeting on the Planning Commission. Do we have any comments on those minutes?
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to approve the minutes.
Okay,
This is Veronica. I second the motion.
okay, we've got a motion by Mike to approve the minutes and a second by Veronica. Tim, how do you vote?
This is Timothy, I vote aye.
Ken, how do you vote?
This is Ken, I vote aye.
Mike, how do you vote?
This is Mike, I vote aye.
And Veronica, how do you vote?
This is Veronica. I vote aye.
And this is Mark, I vote aye. The motion has passed, the minutes are approved. Okay, so now I believe we'll be moving on to the Board of Adjustment and the approval of minutes for prior meeting. Anybody have any comments on that? Anybody ready to make a motion on that?
This is Timothy, I'll make a motion to approve the Board of Adjustment minutes from April 24th.
This is Mike, I'll second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Tim to approve the minutes and a second by Mike. Timothy, how do you vote?
This is Timothy, I vote aye.
Ken, how do you vote?
This is Ken, I vote aye.
Mike, how do you vote?
This is Mike, I vote aye.
Veronica?
This is Veronica. I vote aye.
This is Mark, I vote aye. Minutes have been approved. We'll move on to new business. Okay, our first applicant here is excuse me, I got the wrong one there. Variance application 9-V-23 by Mark and Linda Rahn, Lot 10, Red Wing, Section 4, Township 140, Range 33, Nevis Township on Shallow Lake, a natural environment lake, Parcel 21.50.00800. Applicants are requesting a variance from Sections 502.1 and 801 of the Shoreline Management Ordinance for a proposed drain field to be located within the 150-foot ordinary high water mark and the 10-foot rear lot line setbacks. We have the applicants here. If you want to come up to the table here and give us your name and permanent address for the record, and then tell us what you'd like to do.
It's Linda Rahn, and my permanent address is 26301 Baseline Avenue in New Prague, Minnesota,
Okay,
56071.
and what's your application about?
Last fall, we applied for a building permit and septic and all of that, and were approved, but when there was some confusion about where the property line was across the road, and so I guess we needed to resubmit our application so that we can complete what we started.
Okay. Okay, any questions by the board here on this application?
This is Timothy. When we were on the site, there was two monuments on the back there painted red, like pipes in the ground. Are those the corner markers of your property?
Yes. But we have both lots,
Right,
yeah.
but, so for the line of sight between them though, you had the 4 flags then for the drain field right up to the edge of that.
Yes.
This is Ken. One of the pipes, I think, was where between lot 10 and 11,
Right.
and the other one was right.
The other one was on the other side
Yeah.
of where we normally, or where we have been driving.
Where you've been driving out by the bushes.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
Are you gonna be living here in the winter time?
No, we will not be living here right now in the wintertime. We'll be coming up now in the winter where we weren't before.
The reason I asked was just because of the driveway gonna be pretty close around, getting around that drain field.
We're gonna close that one and come in through the other way.
Okay, good idea.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So you won't be trying to go a circle around the drain field in between the house.
No, we don't want to damage anything.
Good idea. Good idea. This is Veronica. While we were out there during lot views as well, we did take the time to measure from the flag to the corner of the house, and it is spot on 20 feet. So it is right there, so. No further questions from me?
This is Ken. Eric, maybe a question for you. Is there any way to know whether that road is in fact, which is basically a cart path, is in fact where it's platted? You know, there's concern about being too close. Is there any way to know? You know, because sometimes the actual platted roads, if it was platted, might be farther away from their property line or on their property. I don't know, but there's no way to know that.
The best information we have would be those monuments that the board, that Tim just referenced, that we found during the lot view. So assuming those are in the correct place, that would be,
For their property lines, but
that would also be the road right-of-way boundary in this case, since they are platted lots. And then there would be that 33-foot platted right-of-way that would go to the southeast.
okay.
Mr. Chair, I just would like to do one more statement, that the lot lacks the physical depth to allow that drain field to be installed on it, in the conformance with the 150 mark and the 10-foot rear lot line setback, so that's basically the situation we have here, so.
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna take a moment here to open for public comment. And seeing none, I'll close public comment. Anybody else? Questions? Concerns?
This is Ken. Looking back at the variance that we approved, about a year ago, one of the conditions was that you would gutter the house such that the runoff would be away from the lake. My personal observation is that the gutter on the front, on the right-hand side as you face the lake, as it is, I don't believe would meet that requirement. It looks like it runs right off and it's gonna go right down into the lake. Do you have any intention to extend the gutter on the ground or do something different to keep the water from running into the lake?
Yeah, we were up, or I was up 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, and the gutters hadn't been installed yet. And we just came back up this weekend, and now the gutters are installed, so we will be getting extensions so that it doesn't go down. It just hadn't been
I
finished
think
yet.
we also noticed the one on the back side of the house, well, towards the road, would be better off if it was directed towards the road rather than to the side, came down straight. I'm not saying this very well, but comes down off and it goes straight to the side, which would be the east, I think. If you turned that and ran it back, it would run out towards the road.
Okay.
And that the one by the lake should be done such that it directs it away from the lake. Because right now, what we saw, I'll guarantee you, every bit of it runs right into the lake.
Yeah,
Okay.
we saw that too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm gonna ask a question here on the two monuments my colleagues here referred to that are back there. Do you know, did you have those placed by a surveyor or?
They were that's the original ones that have been there since the original thing. And if I could comment too on the road, because I know our neighbor has been dealing with the same thing. He's talked to the township. That is just a private road that there's an easement on. The township has no plans on they don't upkeep it, they don't do anything. So we do own to the fence line there. and I'm not gonna remember the name of it, but we've talked about the neighbors acquiring that back from the township because they have no plans or something. I don't know exactly. Do you know what I'm talking?
Vacation,
What's that called?
a vacation of the roadway.
Yes, I think so, that we may
They
apply
own
for
those
that,
stakes
just
then?
to eliminate any issues, because they don't have any plans on doing anything with the road, and they don't do it now. So,
Okay.
that's,
We've been talking about those stakes as your property line. You're saying you actually own across the road?
we do, we own to where that fence line is.
Okay,
It's just that there's an easement granted, I think, if that's how it works. The easement so that people could
Okay.
go out to the point if they need to. But the property, which was what the confusion was, and I used the county documents, and then we've
so in
confirmed
essence,
that.
the road goes across your property then? Okay, and I understand what those stakes are. Unless those are the markers for the setback.
Easement over it, so.
Yeah. Okay.
This question for Eric. Ken just raised a point that it caught my ear, and you had, made a mention in your staff report about if we weren't comfortable about having those corners located by a surveyor, but if the applicant has an easement there, would those be the corners of the property that we saw out there that day, or would they be on the other side of the road?
Eric speaking, to the best of my knowledge, with what I saw during the lot view, those monument locations align with what I would expect for the corners of those lots. And then there's a 33-foot right-of-way to the southeast of that abuts that rear lot line in which that dedicated public road exists. The township has never taken it over to maintain it, but it is still a public road that was dedicated in the plat.
Okay, so
Ends up almost being a separate lot.
Where the
So a
physical-
33-foot right-of-way is not the same as an easement, am I correct on that, Eric?
I'm not aware of any additional easement
Okay,
for any road purposes. Where the actual road that you drive on is in reference relationally to that 33-foot right-of-way, I
You
couldn't
choose
say,
the
but
roadway to the right there.
okay,
it appeared to be properly to the southeast of those
Okay.
monuments that we saw.
okay, all right, okay. Any other questions by the board?
No, I think we're safe.
And the parcel map doesn't help in this case because things don't fit well with the aerial imagery in that location, so everything is shifted and not of great use.
Okay. Anybody ready to make a motion?
This is Timothy. I'll make a motion to approve application 9-V-23 when adopt the findings from the staff.
Okay, and this is Mark, I'll second that. So we have a motion by Tim to approve this application and accept the staff's finding of facts, and a second by myself. Timothy, how do you vote?
Timothy, I vote aye.
Ken, how do you vote?
This is Ken, I vote aye.
Mike, how do you vote?
Mike, I vote aye.
Veronica, how do you vote?
Veronica, I vote aye.
This is Mark, I vote aye. Your application is approved. You should get a letter from ESO stating such. So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Fix your gutters.
Okay, our next application is variance application 10-V-23 by Ann Richardson, part of Government Lot 6, Section 30, Township 142, Range 33, Thorpe Township on Big Mantrap Lake, a recreational development lake, parcel 26.30.01100. Applicant is requesting a variance from Section 702 of the Shoreline Management Ordinance for a proposed addition to a non-conforming dwelling that is located in the shore impact zone and within the 100-foot ordinary high water structure setback. So we have the representative of the applicant here. Could you tell us who you are and then give us a brief overview of what you want to do?
All right, I'm Matt Henry with MCON. My address is 17120 169th Avenue, Park Rapids, Minnesota, 56470. So basically, the homeowner, as you guys noticed, had a cabin fire last fall, summer, I can't remember when it was. And there had been some damage to the cabin. Well, in doing so, they decided they wanted to also have an addition of some space. And so they're looking to put the bathroom that was in their cabin, the secondary bathroom that was in their cabin, and their laundry room out the back in that 10 by 14 addition. We're not adding any bedrooms. We're basically just pushing the bathroom and laundry out the back instead of having it in what is now their dining room.
Okay. All right. Any questions by our board?
This is Ken. My understanding is that, by the diagram that I see, that a second bedroom will be in the loft above the addition. Is that correct?
It's a loft. I'm not gonna tell them how to use it. It could be for sleeping, it could be for storage, it could be, I know that some of the folks that were at the viewing had said they'd used the other loft for sleeping. So,
Will there be a loft area above the main bedroom too then?
that one has always had a loft, yes.
And that'll remain too?
Yep.
So there's potential for 3 sleeping areas then in this?
There could be.
Anybody else with questions? Okay, while we're thinking on that, I will open for public comment. And seeing none, I'll close public comment. Further questions, or is anybody ready to make a motion on this?
I've got several questions.
Okay, Ken?
Eric, my understanding is that they're sizing the septic system for 2-bedroom.
Correct.
My concern is and this is primarily, if not entirely used as a short-term rental. It's in the shore impact zone, not a very isolated lake, if you will, lake. I'm concerned about expanded use. Now, if they got 2 lofts, what would be the criteria for the number of occupants with this design?
So Eric speaking, based on the design being for 2 bedrooms, that would allow, and they've done it as a class 2, so 225 gallons a day. We have in the ordinance for short-term rentals a requirement that you get 75 gallons per day of the system sizing per occupant, so you would divide 225 by 75, so it actually would not be what you would typically see of 4 being allowed for a class 1 dwelling. It would, in this case, you'd be allowed 3.
So would
Did you hear that?
3 people?
Yep.
Oh,
You
okay.
divide the design flow of 225 gallons a day by 75 gallons per person, and that gives you an occupancy of 3.
I guess, is it currently registered as a short-term rental?
Let me check. I believe they were going to and then had the fire.
I'm sorry, I can't.
Say, I believe they were going to and then they had the fire. That's what this memo, I think, documents.
Okay.
It's on the screen.
But if they came now and applied for a license, you would say it's 3 people?
Correct.
3, based on it, okay. I'm trying to figure out whether we should put a condition on this, or I might want to recommend a condition that does not allow it to expand use to like 6 people or 8 people or something like that. And you're saying this design would be limited to 3 occupants? Okay.
Anybody else?
I might, maybe, I might, if we make a motion to approve it, I might want to suggest a condition that it is built to the exact design, footprint, and layout as presented in the application.
Okay. Basically, that's reflecting Eric's staff recommendations there. Is that correct, Ken?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had to make a recommendation. If you want me to do it, under those conditions, I will. Okay,
Yep.
I'll make a motion that we approve variance request 10-V-23 with the condition that the new structure will be built to the exact footprint and internal design that is presented in the application. And I would suggest that we accept the findings of fact presented by the Environmental Service Department.
This is Veronica. If I can just add, staff report also indicates that we approve the exact specific site plan for the septic too. Is that proper? Is that correct, or is it just the site plan itself? Not the septic, I guess, just the site plan?
Just, yeah, correct.
Okay,
So just the site plan, Veronica?
Yeah.
Okay,
my mistake.
okay. And Ken?
Where did she?
She
I
was
made a
just-
mistake.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
question.
we will. Okay, so anybody ready to make a second?
This is Mike, I'll second.
Okay. Okay, we have a motion by Ken to approve with a second by Mike, accept the staff's finding the facts. Timothy, how do you vote?
This is Timothy, I vote aye.
Ken, how do you vote?
This is Ken, I vote aye.
Mike, how do you vote?
Mike, I vote aye.
Veronica?
This is Veronica, I vote aye.
And this is Mark, I vote aye. Your motion is approved. Getting a letter from Environmental Services reflecting that.
Thank you.
Good to go. Thank you.
Good night, guys.
Okay, next one is variance application 11-V-23 by Tyler Lenz, part of the west one half of the southeast one quarter of the southeast one quarter and part of the east one half of the southwest one quarter of the southeast one quarter, section 18, Township 140, range 34, Henrietta Township, Parcel 13.18.01610. Applicant is seeking a variance from section 4 of the subdivision ordinance and the 5-year waiting period required between administrative subdivisions of property. We got the applicant here, and if you could give us your name, address, and what you want to do.
Good evening, Tyler Lenz, Lenz, currently live at that address, 16772 Eclipse Drive, Park Rapids. Seeking permission to split my currently 8.9 acres to sell off 5. I would keep the remaining 3.9 in order to build a new 3-bedroom slab on grade with a 3-car garage.
Okay. Okay, any questions, anybody?
If I understand, you currently live in the buildings on tract 1?
Yes, I live in the
And
log
you're gonna
house.
sell that and you're gonna build on tract 2?
Yes, I would build on the 3.9, which would be the west half.
Okay. And Eric, if I understand, both of those lots meet all the requirements for septic systems, road access, everything else? Okay.
Any other questions?
No, this is Veronica. I just have a supporting statement from the staff report that the proposed 2 tracts comply with the county and Henrietta Township minimum lot size and public road access requirements. There are 4 10-acre tracts to the west of the property and 4 5-acre tracts to the east of the property, and an 80-acre tract that is 60% field and 40% wetlands. So subdividing the property now versus waiting until September 2024, it's a reasonable request.
Okay, thank you, Veronica. I'll take a moment to open for public comment. And seeing none, I will close public comment. Anybody ready to make a motion? Or have further questions? Okay,
This is Tim. I'll make a motion to approve.
thank you, Tim. Okay,
Looks like I can adopt the staff's findings except for number 3 is the need for a variance due to circumstances unique to the property and not created by the current or prior property owners. I'd say yes. Because, actually, section 4 of the subdivision ordinance created this need for the variance. And because this property is small in size and has limited subdividing options, I think the board wouldn't be abusing the intent of this ordinance by approving this application.
okay, and you've already adopted the rest of the staff's
I
findings?
adopted the
Okay.
rest.
And this is Mark, I'll second Tim's motion. So Tim made a motion to approve, and Mark seconded it with staff findings, except for question 3, which he's answered. Timothy, how do you vote?
This is Timothy, I vote aye.
Ken, how do you vote?
This is Ken, I vote aye.
Mike, how do you vote?
Mike, I vote aye.
Veronica, how do you vote?
Veronica, I vote aye.
And this is Mark, I vote aye. Your application is approved. Thank you. Letter from ESO. Thank you.
My last question real quick. When is this due then?
The subdivision application, you can submit that anytime within the next 5 years, so there's a 5-year sunset clause to the variance that you need to act on it within that time frame. But you can turn it in anytime this week.
Thank you. Okay, moving on, we have any miscellaneous?
No, communication would be, we've got one application so far for June, but we know of several that are in the works, so I would imagine the June meeting will be a little bit bigger than this one to a lot bigger. You never know, but it's the time of year when you typically expect agendas to start getting larger.
Okay,
Any of them seem problematic, or are they kind of straightforward with our,
The only one submitted so far was for Birch Harbor Resort on Upper Bottle that you've seen a year or two ago for replacing a old travel or a mobile home with a travel trailer, and now they have some additional expansion that they're wanting to do. That's the only one that we've processed as complete so far.
okay, anybody ready to make a motion to adjourn?
Veronica, I make a motion to adjourn.
Mike, I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion to adjourn by Veronica, a second by Mike. Timothy, how do you vote?
This is Tim, I vote aye.
this is Ken, I vote aye.
Mike, how do you vote?
Mike, I vote aye.
Veronica, how do you vote?
This is Veronica, I vote aye.
This is Mark, I vote aye. Motion, or meeting is adjourned.